Hi, good morning, all. Good morning. Well, it's 2 minutes to 5 past, right? All right. How did the revision go, guys? I know last week we started adding and subtracting of positive and negative numbers and letters. Did you all put in a little bit of revision to come today? Like just a little bit of revision because we're gonna continue from where we left off last week. And of course, if you were not here last week, but all the new people who signed up, I made sure every single person who contacted me, most likely would have been the parents who contacted me, I would have sent a link to access all the work missed last week so you could revise it and come fully prepared. So if you're a little bit lost, and well, if you didn't go through the work missed, you'll be a little bit lost, but make sure after class you stay back and cement into you how to access all that work that was missed so you come ready for next week at least. All right. But the pace of today's class will be the assumption, right? Will be the assumption that you review the work or were here last week and we continuing from that point. And that's the fair thing to do, right? So we're going to start off with a revision question, right? We're going to start off with a revision question today. Work it out and send the answer on the chat, right? Remember, when you send something on the chat itself, when you type it and send it, only I can see it, right? So you don't have to be you don't have to be ashamed if you get it wrong or whatnot. Just like last week, the main thing in this class is to attempt the question and not to sit down silent in class. Just send attempts, try your best, engage in class. And maths takes a while to learn, so don't be worried if you're getting things wrong now. Within a month or two, everything will, you'll be on track. Right. Right. All right. Oh, you all are hearing me clearly, right? If you have any volume issues on your side, I have the same volume settings as last week. So if you're not hearing properly, the volume is low, it's going to be on your end and you need to rectify because most people are saying, yeah, they're hearing me properly. And I don't interfere with the volume settings on my side. All right. So if your hearing's a little bit low, you need to troubleshoot on your end. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's go. All right. Oh, we have a little game to play today, so to make class go a little bit, more interesting, right? So let's see. This is the game here today, right? It's a game where I'm going to present you with some animals, and at the end of the class, only one animal is going to be alive. So they're going to all, meet their ends in very strange ways, right? So you all have to choose one animal, right? And whoever you choose, you have to stick with them. So who do you think will be alive at the end of today's class? Choose one character and send it to me on the chat. And you have to stick with that character. If your character survives at the end of class, obviously you win, right? Even if you lose, still some fun, to just watch to see who wins. All right. So those on YouTube, you know what to do. Send it on the chat as well. Right. Today's class is significantly smaller than last week. Not too sure why. All right. All right. So a lot of people are going with, I guess, Terry the tiger and Laura the ladybug. Those are the two most popular choices, it seems. All right. Let's go. First question of the day, and I have the rules to the right-hand side of the screen as revision. Work out the question and send the answer on the chat. No calculators are allowed. These questions, you need to be able to use the rules and your minds only. If you use a calculator, you are cheating yourself, okay? You have to be able to do addition and subtraction of positive and negative numbers without a calculator to become really good at maths. Good luck, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes and everyone try to send an answer. Try your best. Right? I'm reading through the comments here of why people chose a certain animal over another animal. All right, guys, 2 minutes, and I look forward to your answers. All right. Okay. Well, I know it's the first question today. Unfortunately, there are a lot of wrong answers. All right. I know it's the first question, right? So, but once again, the rules are to the left-hand side of the screen. Let's just quickly review and move on. Remember, when you're adding or subtracting, and I explained last week, addition and subtraction have different rules to multiplication and division. In fact, in addition and subtraction, you're going to realize two negatives don't actually give you a positive. If you follow these rules, the 4 rules on the screen, 2 negatives actually give you back a negative. But anyway, let's go ahead and there's 2 minutes and we're going to be out of this question. Remember, all values have a certain sign, except for 0. But basically everything else in maths is either positive or negative. And you always look to the left. I realize 11A, a lot of people forgot to put the positive sign. Because when you look to the left and you don't see anything, it is automatically positive. And last week, I told everyone, hey, don't imagine that positive sign. You have to put it in. In today's class, if something is missing, we physically write it in. Now we have to group all the similar letters together. Well, it's called grouping. So you're going to put all the A's together, all the B's together, and then things without any letters in one spot. So last week I circled all the A's. Like you invent your own thing. And notice I circled the sign with the letter because signs belong to something, right? You just can't cut off the sign. So this 5A is really minus 5A. And you notice I took caution to circle the minus sign with the 5A. He belongs to the 5A. And then you have positive 13A. And then I'm going to underline all the B's. And then everything without any letters, I'm going to put squiggly lines. You can invent your own little symbols. So from a distance, you can identify the A's, the B's, and the C's. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag the A's together, then the B's, and then everything without the letters. So the positive 11A, that's him. I'm going to drag the minus 5a and the positive what? 13a. I'm going to use a different color for the b's to make it easier to identify. Now, I'm going to make a mistake here on purpose, right? So you have 10b and positive 6b. What mistake did I do intentionally? And I realize some people are making this mistake based on their answer. Right, and this 10b has a minus sign. Well, where did it go? Right, I have to put it back in. And then the regular boring numbers without, that's 11 and 22. So minus 11 and positive 22. So you see what I did? I grouped all the common letters together, better known as grouping, okay? Let's handle the A's. I'll color code it. I'll keep the A's with red, sorry. Remember, for the reds, right, the A, you can only combine two letters, two values at a time. So let's do the 11A and minus 5A because they're together. The 11 is positive and the 5 is negative. They have what? Different signs. Different signs mean minus. So yeah, you're seeing 11 and 5 in your head. Minus them. You're going to obviously get 6. Don't forget to put back the letter involved. The letter involved is A. I know we have an A here and an A here. But when you're adding and subtracting, you just only put back the letter once. And according to rule number 3, the one with the box, you always put back the sign of the larger value. Who is larger? 11. 11 is larger than 5. And what sign is he carrying? A positive. You bring down the positive 13a here now. We'll deal with him shortly. Let's handle the b's. Minus 10b plus 6b. Signs are different, so you minus. You're seeing 10 and 6 in your head. Minus it. You're going to get 4. Don't forget to put back b, and you put back the sign of the larger value. 10 is larger than 6, and he's carrying a minus sign. Let's handle the regular boring values without any letters. Once again, it's rule 2, because 11 is negative and the 22 is positive. The signs are different. Different signs mean minus. If you have $22 and somebody minus $11, you're going to get what? 11, and you put back the sign of the larger value. How much people at least had up to there? We're not finished because we need to simplify the red part still, the 6A and the 13. All right? So let's handle the red part here now. So for the red part, the 6 and the 13 are both positive. Same signs mean add. That's rule number 1, because both of them are positive. They have the same exact sign. So 6 plus 13, I believe that's 19. Don't forget to put back the letter A, and you put back the sign of the larger one. 13 is larger than 6. Right? Now, you put back the minus 4b, it have nothing to do there anymore, and you put back the 11. This is your correct answer. Now, tell me something. If I write my answer like this, is it correct? 19a, 4b, and 11. Is the underneath answer correct? No. A lot of people are sending the answers, but how come you not putting the signs? How come you didn't put the minus sign here? How come you didn't put the positive sign? If you, and I want my first positive sign. If something is positive, I don't want to imagine that positive. I want you to physically write it in, right? I am not giving you correct, right? I will not give you correct. You must put every single sign in this class, because if you imagine signs, you're going to run into problems when the question becomes complex. Can the last line be simplified? Can I combine A, B, and no letter? Is it possible to squish that last line into one answer? No, all right? Because rule number 4 says, if the letters are different, you can't really do anything, right? The question shuts down at that point, and that is the correct answer, okay? Right, look for your mistakes. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Most people will have spotted their mistakes by now, right? And we will move on in 10 seconds. For those who got it right, congrats. And of course, if you got it wrong, but you saw your mistake at least, still take it as a win. That's still a congrats. And once you tried, still a win, right? Not trying anything, just sitting down there waiting for me to work it out is the worst thing you could do in maths. Right? Don't ever do maths like that or any subject like that. Always participate, even if you're losing, right? All right, let's move on. All right, so we're going to start the multiplication and division, right? So that's today's topic. Last week was addition and subtraction. Today, you're going to see multiplication and division have totally different rules to addition and subtraction. And then we're going to combine everything, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And you're going to have to try on the spot to know which rules to use because students, normally confuse it. Right? So take down that topic, multiplication and division. Let's move on. All right. So these are the rules for multiplication and division, right? Take down these rules first and I will explain it, right? At the end of the day, when you're multiplying or dividing, two positives actually make a positive. So when you combine two positives, you get a positive. If you combine two negatives, you get a positive. A lot of people know this rule. They're accustomed seeing it. Two negatives make a positive, but that's only when you are multiplying or dividing. And a lot of people think two positives will give you a negative. That's not true. Two positives, when you are multiplying or dividing, will give you back a positive. It's only when one is positive and one is negative, only when the signs are different, then you get a negative. And some of you may not know what this means. Numbers, then letters, and then signs. I will explain that in a little while. But take down the rules, let me know when you are finished, and I want to work out these questions on the screen for you. All right, let's go. Let's start off with the red question. Now, in today's class, right, I know I'm saying it over and over, but I needed a stick. If a sign is missing, like if something is positive, write it in physically and do not imagine. Here we have minus 10 divided by 5. Now, this 5 is really positive because when you look to the left, you don't really see anything, okay? When you are doing multiplication and division, try your best to do it like this. I just call it NLS. Numbers, letters, and signs. Don't try to do all three things at the same time, right? You do the numbers first, then you do the letters, if it have any letters. I mean, if it doesn't have any letters, then you skip the letters. And the last on the list, the thing that you do is signs. So minus 10 divided by 5. Let's do the numbers first. 10 divided by 5. Forget signs, you're paying attention to the numbers alone. 10 divided by 5, we all know this is 2. We finish with the numbers. Go to the letters. Ask yourself, does this question have any letters? No, it have no letters. So be happy, skip the letters. And what do you do last? Signs. A negative divided by a positive. Look at here. Whenever one is positive and one is negative, your final answer will be negative. So my final answer is what? -2. It's literally as simple as that. Let's do the yellow one, okay? So let's do the green one. In maths, if you have two things separated by brackets, who can tell me what lives in between here? What secret thing lives in between something and brackets? Like when you don't see anything, right? It's a secret multiply, right? So that question is really -3 multiplied by 6. No, very few teachers are going to put in that multiply sign. I do not put it in, right? When I set an exam. So we are trying to take -3 and multiply it by 6. Now, the 3 is negative and the 6 does not have a sign, so we know it's positive. So we are trying to take -3 and multiply it by +6. Let's start off here. Let's start with the numbers. You're only seeing 3 and 6 in your head. 3 by 6 is 18 from primary school. We finished with the numbers. Let's go to the letters. Does it have any letters, right? Does it have any letters? No. So be happy and move on. And signs, let's do the signs last. One is negative and one is positive. When one is positive and one is negative, your final answer is negative. Take down the red and green one, and do you think you could do the yellow and blue one and send the answer for me? Let's see what you guys, even if they get it wrong, just try. You're using the rules to the left-hand side of the screen. Do the numbers first. Do the letters second, if there are any letters. And if after the letters, you do the signs. Good luck. Right? You don't have to send your work in for me. You just have to send your final answer, right? I see some people typing out all these steps. You don't need to do that. You just need to do what? Send your final answer, right? And I want the sign, if the answer is positive, I want to see my positive sign. Don't leave it up to me to imagine the positive sign. If something is negative, I want to see the negative. All right, so let's go. Let's see. Great. So the yellow one, let's do the yellow one first, right? So this is multiplication and division. And like I said, multiplication and division is different rules of addition and subtraction. Let's do the numbers first. I always like to start with the numbers. 12 divided by 4, that's 3. All right, we can do that from primary school. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Does it have any letters? No, no letters today. Be happy, smile, and move on. The last is signs. When you divide two negatives make a positive. So the yellow answer is +3. For the blue one, you have a number and a bracket. So like I mentioned earlier, right, there's a secret multiply here. So it's a multiplication question. Let's do the numbers first, right? 7 multiplied by 3 is 35. 7 by 3 is 35. There are no letters, right? So you smile and move on. And signs. When you multiply two negatives, you get a positive, right? Now, I know I'm saying it over and over. I'm just trying to my best to respond to the mistakes people are making on the chat. Multiplication and division is totally different to addition and subtraction, right? I think some people are mixing up the addition and subtraction rules with multiplication and division. Right now, try not to focus on any rules. Like a few people were asking, well, how come we don't put back the sign of the larger number, right? Like for this question, the 6 is larger than 3. Now, the 6 has a positive sign. Isn't the sign of the larger number, isn't that rule associated with addition and subtraction? It has nothing to do with what is on the screen here. The main point is multiplication and division. It's its own section in math. He has his own rules he has to follow. You can think of it like this. The addition and subtractions rule has no place with multiplication and division. His rules doesn't extend over to multiplication and division, right? Great. So let's move on to the next one. But let's see what's next. Right, so look for your mistakes. I mean, by now you should have spotted the mistake, and we have tons of practice. Let's make it a little bit harder. I'm going to put in some what? Letters, okay? Right, that's one thing, guys. I didn't know this. It's only the English teacher had told me. You see, when people raise their hands, does it make a noise on your end, guys? She was telling me something when people in the class raise their hands. Does it make a little ding or anything like that? Right. So here's what, right? I'm gonna ask you all to not raise your hands, right? If you have to send any communication, send it on the chat. If you raise your hand, you will be immediately removed from class. That's my rules, right? Because I have a problem with other people being distracted, and we have a means of communicating the chat. So lower your hands, right? And do not press it because it may be disturbing other people, right? Great. So if you get removed, right? You know it's your your fault, right? All right. So Denike and Malakai, please put on your hands because you might get removed in a few seconds. All right. Great. Let's go. The red question, right? So the red question is a division question, right? And it has a letter, right? It has a letter. Well, it shouldn't be a big problem because we're supposed to do what first? The numbers, right? Then what? The letters. And then what? The signs. Same concept, you know. Let's do the numbers. 9 divided by 3 is the red one. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Does it have any letters? Yeah. It have what letter? Y. So we put back the letter Y. And who last on the list? Mr. Science. When you divide two negatives, you make a positive. So when you divide two negatives, you get a positive. You see, there isn't much difference, right? You just, well, when it's time to do the letters, and if it have letters, right, you put back the letter involved, okay? You think you all can do the yellow one? It's a trick question, but it's almost like what we did. But I always like to play this trick on people. Do the yellow one and send the answer, right? It's a slight trick question. All right, so let's go. Let's see if you guys got it correct. So it's a division question. You can clearly see it's a division question. So let's do the numbers first. 20 divided by 5. We could do that. 20 divided by 5 is 4. What's the letter? X. So that's the letter involved. It have no other letters. Oh, by the way, this 5 is positive, right? When you divide a negative and a positive, look at it. When the signs are different signs give you what? Negative. How much people got that answer? I think some of y'all forgot to. All right. Hey guys, I think y'all forgot not to raise your hands. I'm trying to be as lenient, but use the chat to send the answers. Try to remember. I know some of y'all, it's what you call it? Muscle memory, and you're accustomed doing it, right? Try your best to remember, right? Patricia, please put your hand down. All right. For all those who got this answer, put it wrong. It's a trick I always play on people. I know that minus 4x looks correct, and common sense will say, what? So it's talking madness, right? Sorry, guys. It's how I make myself happy. Play tricks. The trick in this question is this. You see, in the first question, right? In the first question, you see when you're multiplying and dividing, you have to look at the position of the letters. In the first question, wasn't the y on top? So you put back the y over here on top, right? In this question, isn't the x underneath? So at the end of the question, he has to remain underneath. That's how multiplication and division works. If a letter starts off on top, he will remain on top, or unless something else like drastic happens. But not, these are boring questions. Nothing drastic is happening. Nothing exciting is happening. And if a letter starts off underneath, like how the X was born underneath, at the end of the question, he has to remain underneath. He just can't transfer to the top. All right, so keep that in the back of your head, right? Take down the correct answer. All right? Take down the correct answer. All right? Okay. All right. Don't feel bad if you get it wrong, right? Or I see some of you all are angry. It's just a small joke, guys. You don't have to get angry with me. All right. Let's try the green one. And look at it this way. Because of you may have felt cheated or you got a little angry. I bet you will never forget it now. I bet you. All right, so let's move on. Let's try the green one. I want to work out the green one with you all. It has a letter involved, and most questions in maths will have a letter involved. Remember, between whenever you see brackets and an item and nothing in between, it's a secret what? Multiply, right? And this 6 is automatically positive, right? This 6 is automatically positive. Okay? So we are going to try to do it by the same method. Nothing great is happening here, right? Nothing great at all. It's just you're going to do the numbers first, then the letters, and then the signs, right? So let's do the numbers first. 3 multiplied by 6. 3 by 6 is what? 18, right? 6 by 3 is 18. Let's do the letters. The letter involved is P. So we just put back the P here. And a minus and a positive. When the signs are different, you get what? A negative. That one is pretty easy, right? You think you can do the blue one for me? The blue one has 2 letters. Now, I'll just give away the secret. If it have 2 letters, you always put back the two letters involved. So if the two letters was X and Y, at the end of the question, you put what? X and Y. It doesn't matter which order. You can put the Y first or the X first. Like in this case, it's P and A. So make sure and put back the two letters, P and A, or you can put the A first, A and P. The examiner is not going to care. So try the red, not the red one. I'm going colorblind. The blue one, and send the answer on the chat. Right? And someone asks if the two letters are the same, like if it was A and A, what would you do? Don't worry, I'm going to clear that up just now. Hey, some people are forgetting to put the sign when you send the answer. If the answer is negative, I want to see that negative. If the answer is positive, write in the positive. All right? Right. More correct answers than wrong answers, so that's good. So let's start with the numbers first, right? Well, there's a secret multiply here, right? 8 multiplied by 3 is 24. That's how I want to write it a little bit. 1 second, guys. 8 by 3 is 24. The two letters involved are P and A. So you put back the P and the A, or you can put the A first and then the P. Like I said, the examiner is not going to care. You in multiplication and division, you have to put back all the letters involved. And from the rules here, here's a minus and here's a minus. Two minus signs in multiplication or division give you a positive. So positive 24 PA or AP. Doesn't really matter which order. So to answer the one question over here, right? To answer the one of the more popular questions, I'm just going to change up the question a little bit, right? I'm going to write it on top here. Suppose it was minus 5, A, open brackets, 3A. Could you all do that question for me and send it on the chat? The new one that I just wrote, right? The new one that I just wrote. Right? It's a multiply question, obviously, but the A is repeated twice. If the letter is repeated twice, what do you do? All right. So this 3A is positive. The examiner didn't write it in, but you need to write it in. So let's start off with the numbers first. I'll do the letters last, right? So you'll get an idea of what to do with the letters. 5 by 3 is what? 15. Everybody at least has the 15. The signs are negative and a positive is a negative. But the A, remember when you're adding or subtracting, this was last week's work, right? When you're adding or subtracting, if the letters are the same, you just only write back the letter once, right? So even when you were adding and subtracting, if the A showed up twice, you would only write back the A once. However, in multiplication and division is different. You have to write back all the letters involved. So if the A appeared twice, you have to write it back twice. So you have to write A, E. Now, in maths, when you have two same things multiplied in maths, and it's called squared, right? Don't get me wrong, this is mathematically correct, right? Minus 15 AA. Mathematically, that is correct, but it doesn't look cool. A multiplied by A is A what in maths? Squared. So this is the cooler way to write it, right? Well, when you have like 5 multiplied by 5 is 5 squared. 7 multiplied by 7 is 7 squared, right? So A multiplied by A is A squared, right? But today I would accept any one as correct, the one on top or the one underneath, right? But for future, two same things multiplied is that squared. Write down my example, the new one. Write it down and write down the answer. Your teacher will prefer to see the one on top, the white answer, minus 15A squared, right? I know all teachers would prefer to see the one on top. Nobody wants to see A multiplied by A. That just doesn't look cool enough. Mathematically, it's correct, but the one on top is the better one. And always keep the person who's marking your exam happy. If you know they want to see a certain thing, do it like how they want to see it. All right, let's go. All right, the first character is about to meet his end. Who do you all think is the first character to meet their end? Well, I know you all are just hoping it's not the one that you chose at the beginning of class. Okay, I just hope it's not that. Now I already know who is going to win, so it makes no sense me playing. Let's see who's the first to meet their end. The first animal to meet their end. We're sorry to announce the death of Terry the tiger. Terry wandered off in the wrong part of the jungle where he was caught by some local hunters. So bye-bye, Terry. Anybody out of the game? Did anybody choose Terry the tiger? If you did, you're unlucky. All right, so obviously a lot of people are still in the game because their character is still alive, right? Let's move on. All right, so let's handle some brackets now, right? Let's handle some brackets. Now, in maths, right? What do you have in between? Oh, by the way, take down the question. Sorry, sir. I'm rushing y'all. I'm rushing y'all. Take down the yellow question for me and just make a small note, right? In between the two and the brackets, I know I'm saying it over and over, there's a secret multiply. So this is a multiplication question still, but you have two sets of items in the brackets. Not a problem. I will show you how to deal with that. No, you are not doing the question. I want to work it out for you. You all just write it down, and I want to work out this one for you. All right, let's go. How brackets work, right? You see everybody in the brackets, they get multiplied by who is waiting outside. I know the 4x is closer to the 2. So your brain might say, hey, let's multiply the 2 by the 4x. But you might forget to multiply the minus 8 by the 2. And the minus 8 is further away from the 2. So naturally, your brain kind of just forgets about it. But there's equal treatment for everybody in that bracket. If you have a million items inside that bracket, right? If you have a million items, all of them will get multiplied by the item outside. Everybody gets equal treatment. So let's start off with, it's still a multiplication question. So we're going to do what first? The numbers, right? Pay attention here. It's still the same rules. We're going to multiply 2 by 4. Multiply 2 by 4, you're going to get what? 8. But don't we also have to multiply this 8 by the 2? 2 multiplied by 8 is 16. We multiplying both of these guys by who is waiting on the outside. And we start with the numbers. Next on the list is what? Letters. When you were multiplying the 2 by the 4, what letter was involved? What letter was involved? Accent. So you have to put back who here? X. When you were multiplying the 2 by the 8, are there any letters involved there? Let me know on the chat. When you're multiplying the 2 and the 8, are there any letters involved? No. So there's no letter to put by the 16. Who's last on the list? Signs. Now remember, this 4 is already positive. I should already write it in. I should have wrote that in at the beginning of the question. Let's do the signs last. A negative multiplied by a positive. Look at it here. When the signs are different, a negative and a positive is a negative. And when you're multiplying the -2 by the 8, you're multiplying a negative by a negative. 2 negatives make a positive. Is it possible to add -8x and 16? Is it possible to squish those two answers together to get one answer? No. Because remember, if I ask you to add these two and get one answer from last week, remember, you can only add or subtract or squish two things together when you're adding or subtracting if the letters are the same. This 8 has an X and this 16 does not have an X. They're completely different. This is the final answer. There's nothing you can do to simplify that. Nothing, 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 nothing. Okay? Try the green one for me. Use the same concept. Everybody inside the brackets gets multiplied by who's waiting outside. Okay? And of course, send the answer on the chat. All right, let's go. Let's see. Now we know it's a multiplication question because of the secret multiply here, right? But let's put in the missing signs, right? Which I forgot to do in the last question. This 2x is secretly positive, and this 6y is secretly positive, right? Because if you look to the left and you don't see a sign, you know what to do. Let's do the numbers first. We multiply, now. Everybody inside the brackets gets multiplied individually, one by 6y. 6 multiplied by 2 is what? 12. And 6 by 5 is what? 30. So I hope you at least have the numbers correct. Somewhere in your answer must have a 12 and it must have what? A 30, right? At least have that. Next on the list is the letters. When you're multiplying the 6y and the 2x, the two letters involve a y and x. So you put back the two letters. It doesn't matter if you have the y first, huh? But I like it in alphabetical order, right? So I'm multiplying y and x, so I put back the two letters, x and y. When you're multiplying the 6 and the 5, he has a y and he has a y. Do we have to put back the y twice? Well, what do you all remember from the last slide? In multiplication and division, if a letter appears twice, do we have to put it back twice? Yes, that is exactly what I mentioned on the last slide. So you have a y and a y. So you put back y, but we know y is what? Y squared. And I told you all, when you have two same letters, it looks cooler if you put y squared, y multiplied by y. Your teacher would prefer that. Let's do the signs. The signs are last on the list. A positive by a positive. If you look at your rules here, two positives give you back a positive. And here now, a positive and a negative. A positive multiplied by a negative is a negative. Is it possible to squish those two together to get one answer? The answer is no, right? Because both of them have different types of letters. He has xy and he has y squared. Xy and y squared is not the same thing in maths. So according to last week, you can only add or subtract or squish two things together if the letter types are exactly the same. So that's your final answer. You can't do anything from there. Right? Someone said we should have worked out the brackets first. Tell me something. Is it possible to work out anything in the brackets? Is it possible to take 2x and minus 5y? Is that possible? Is it possible to take 2x? The answer is no. Straight out of last week. He has an x and he has a y. How are you going to squish them together to get one answer? X and Y are two completely different letters, right? So even though according to BODMAS, you're supposed to work out the brackets first, that only applies if you could work out the brackets. Inside those brackets are it's non-reducible. You can't do anything. So then you say, all right, I can't work out the brackets, so I'm going to multiply everyone in the brackets by who is waiting outside, which is Mr. 6y, right? Right? So take down the answer, right? And remember, as I mentioned just now, when two same letters come together, y, it's known as y squared. Just like in maths, 5 multiplied by 5 is 5 squared. Number y touching y is ready, y multiplied by y. So you put y squared. Right? Let me know when you're finished and we will move on. All right. A lot of people have finished. Let's get ready to move on. Oh, we have a little break here. Well, I say a little break, a little brain relaxer here. So who you think is next to go? Terry the Tiger is gone. Who do you think is the next to meet their doom? A lot of people said Tony for some reason. Tony the Toucan. All right, so let's see who's next to meet their doom. We're sorry to announce the death of Farina the fish. After excessive rainfall, well, in the forest, she was washed away from her part of the river and ended up surrounded by a group of piranhas. Bye-bye, Farina. Anybody out of the game? Farina is gone, and Tony the Tiger is also gone. All right. Who's out? Who's out of the game? Who's out of the game? Anybody who chose Tony the Tiger or Farina the Fish is obviously out of the game. All right, so I hope most of you all are still in the game. Let's move on. And people were asking for harder questions. Ask and you shall receive. All right, so this is where the problems start. This is where the problem starts, okay? When you have to multiply out fractions or even divide fractions and you have brackets. You see brackets and fractions, real problems. We're going to take our time. I'm going to try to move as slow as possible, right? I'm going to be explaining each example once, right? But so try your best to follow along, but I'm going to be fair, I'm going to be doing it very, very slowly, right? Take down the first question, the red question, but don't write it too smaller. Write it fairly big in your books, right? Right. We're going to take about half a page to do each question, right? Let me know when you're ready with the red question. That's a clear one question, right? And the most popular question, the two most popular questions in class that I get, right? So, when class over in? That's like the number one question. Two, so can we get a break? Let me just clear up one thing, right? Class will over close to 11 o'clock, but that's written on your timetable, right? I usually don't give breaks in class, right? I mean, if you need to get something to eat quick or drink, just run quick and go and come back. Remember, you can eat by your computer, drink by your computer. Technically, this is a break. All right. Okay. And I have little games in between to play to relax your mind, right? To me, when I on a roll, like how we on a roll this morning and we getting plenty of work done, I hate to break that momentum, right? When I take a break, I might want to come back. So, all right, so right, you guys ready? A few people are ready. Come, guys, communicate with me. Communicate. Are you ready? All right. First of all, when it's fractions, right? And whole numbers. You'll realize in the first question, the red question, you have fractions and some values are whole numbers. Like the 4x, that's not a fraction, it's a whole value. And the 2/5 are obviously is a fraction, right? It's really, really, really doesn't, it's a really bad idea, right? It's a really bad idea to have a mixture of positive and, sorry, I'm mixing up myself. It's a really bad idea to have a mixture, right, of fractions and whole numbers. If you have a mixture, it's very important that everybody be fractions. You can't have a mixture. But so what if the examiner gives you, right? If the examiner gives you a whole value, how do you convert it to a fraction? Like, for example, if I give you the number 8, 8 is a whole number, but did you all know that you could convert any whole number by dividing it by 1? Isn't 8 divided by 1 still 8? Isn't 1, well, when you take, and not, it may be obvious, right? But I'm still saying it. You take anything and divide it by 1, you get back the same value. 8 divided by 1 is 8. And here's the good news. We changed it to a fraction, right? So here's how we can rewrite the red question. First of all, 2/5, a fraction has a numerator and a denominator. This 2 is obviously positive and this 5 is obviously positive because when you look to the left, you don't really see anything. So let's rewrite it like this. Positive 2. So we have all the signs now. Divided by positive 5. Open brackets, right? This 4x is not a fraction, but he's 4x divided by 1. We just converted it to a fraction. And here's a small problem in maths, and you need to keep it in the back of your head. This minus sign, right? Doesn't this minus sign belong to the 3/7? Everybody agree with that? Because when you look to the left of an item, if you see a sign, it belongs to the whole item, okay? But this causes a little bit of problems, right? You see how this minus sign is smack in the middle? It's better if you assume to make life easier for you. If you have something smack in the middle, pretend it belongs to the person on top. You think you all can remember that? In a fraction, if something is smack in the middle, pretend it belongs where? On top. So we write it like this, minus 3. So write the minus sign to the top. And the 7 is what? What sign do you... Since the 7 does not have a sign now, because the minus sign went on top, what sign do you think the 7 is going to have? A positive, right? Obviously, because remember in maths, when something is without a sign, it becomes what? Positive. What about the 4x? When you look to the left, he doesn't have a sign, so he's positive. And what about the 1? He is what? Positive. Right? I hope everybody is up to there, at least up to there. Take down up to there, right? Right, guys, and just a quick note. Remember the class has a lot of people. Remember, it's people on YouTube, on the chat. You know, it have a lot of people on Zoom here on the chat as well for now. So when you send a question, right, obviously I'm not going to get all. I try my best, right? But sometimes I'm in the middle of an explanation and people send so much questions. By the time I look at the chat, your question has long disappeared, right? Right? So for those, and you know, try to be a little patient, right? And I mightn't get to all the questions, right? But also watch the language when you're communicating with me. You can't get angry with me for just missing a message, all right? Try to see it from my point of view, all right? Let me know when you're finished. All right, so I think we're ready then. All right, so let's try our best to simplify it. Well, I wish I'd given myself more space for this one. I should have put 2 on one slide. All right. Let's see what's going to go on here. So there's a multiply here, and there's a multiply here, right? Guess what? Doesn't numerators have a... Oh God, I'm mixing it up. Doesn't fractions have a numerator, a top part, and a denominator, the underneath part, right? Do you think it's a good idea to do both at the same time? Like, try to split our brain and do the top and the underneath at the same time? I think that's a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. All right. I'm just making some space here, right? I don't want to go to a new line. I like how we have... Let's clear some working space here, right? Ugh. Very therapeutic. Ugh. All right, so let's go. So let's start off with the top. Guess what? It's still, remember the top here. Let me see if I can circle. Well, God, 1 second, guys. This here is the top part, right? Let's work out the top. And guess when we work in on the top, everybody on the top in the brackets gets multiplied by whoever is outside, okay? And guess what? We're doing the numbers first, then the letters, and then the signs, okay? So let's start off with that first. Let's do the numbers, right? 2 by 4 is what? 8. 2 multiplied by 3 is what? 6, right? Who's next on the list? After the numbers, we do need top alone, eh? The next is letters. 2 and the 4, when you were multiplying them, the letter involved was X, right? And when you was multiplying the 2 by the 3, were there any letters? No, there were no letters, right? So you just leave the 6. Who's last on the list? Signs. A positive multiplied by a positive. Look at it here. 2 positives give you a positive. And a positive by a negative is a negative. Look how easy we did the top. It's just to move to the underneath and replicate what we did. So you put your little divide signs here. We move into the underneath. Follow the same rules. Do the numbers first. 5 multiplied by 1 is 5. And 5 by 7 is 35. So we finish with the numbers on the underneath. What about the letters? Lucky for us, the underneath has no letters. Move on to the signs. The 5 is positive and the 1 is positive. A positive multiplied by a positive is a positive. And a positive multiplied by another positive is positive. By the way, this minus sign belongs on top of the minus sign. This number, the positive by the 2 and the negative by the 3 gave us -6. Every one take down up to there, we almost finish. We just have to simplify it a little bit, right? Right? This could be simplified a little bit. It can't be simplified too much. And remember, I see some of you, based on the answers, right? You're using your calculators. Push aside your calculators today. You don't need your calculators. Right? We're going to leave, someone had a question. Do we have to put our answer as a mixed fraction? You don't have to. In fact, I dislike mixed fractions. I prefer improper fraction. Improper fractions in maths are easier to deal with. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's see if we can do this one. Here we have 8 divided by, we use a different color because we don't get confused. 8 divided by 5, leave it as 8 divided by 5. You put back the letter X. Now, you can leave the letter X on top, or you can put the letter X in the middle. Remember, in maths, if you put something exactly in the middle, it belongs to both of them, right? It belongs to both of, no, sorry, it belongs to the top. So you can leave the X on top with the 8, or you can put it smack in the middle. When you're over here, we have a positive divide by a positive. In multiplication and division, if you divide 2 positives, you get back a positive. Over here, we have 6 divided by 35. On top is negative, the underneath is positive. When you divide a negative and a positive, you get back what? A negative. So these two, when you combine them, a negative divided by a positive, you get back what? A negative. Right? Oh yeah, I did turn off your recording. Oops. All right, so when you divide the 2 positives, you get a positive. And this X, we put it in the middle because it belongs to the top anyway. Like I know I turned off the recording by mistake, so I just corrected myself. So even if I put the X in the middle, it really belongs to the 8 on top. But you can write the X on top if you wish. It's up to you. Over here, a negative divided by a positive will give you a negative. Can this answer be simplified? Meaning that, do you think it's possible to squish these two together? The 8 on 5x, can that be squished together with the 6 on 35? No, because one has an X and the other doesn't. By the way, you all notice when you multiply all the brackets disappeared, right? You see, when you multiply all brackets, the whole point of multiplying all brackets is to get rid of the brackets, eh? So your final answer not supposed to have any brackets. Okay? Right. I know that's a handful, and some of you are probably scratching your heads. Oh God, it's like it finally got hard now. Don't worry, we have more examples. Try the yellow question once again, right? I don't care if you get it wrong. I just want you to try. Only by trying over and over and getting it wrong. That's the only way you're going to get it correct after. Okay? So have a good shot at the yellow one. I'm going to give you a full 5 minutes with it, the yellow one. Good luck. I just want to make sure you arrange the question properly before attempting it, right? Let's make sure that, like anything smack in the middle, make sure you put it to the top, right? That's your first step. So you see how this minus sign is in the middle, put them on top. You see how this A smack in the middle, put them on top. And remember, minus 2x is not a fraction, but you can put divided by 1. right? So let me just rewrite it here. Put the minus sign on top, so you get -3 and the A both on top. And underneath is 4. Now, I will handle the 4 just now, right? This -2x, we said we should put it as divide by 1. This positive sign, put it on top, right? So you get positive 5m, and underneath we have 2y. How much people have something like that? Everything that was smack in the middle, we put it on top. And any whole number we saw, or whole item, we put divided by 1, right? So that's your first step. Now, put in any missing signs. Like this 4, if you look to the left, you don't see a sign, so put in a positive, no? This 1, you don't see anything to the left, so it's a positive. And the same thing with the 2y. Multiply out the top using the numbers, letters, and signs, and then do the same thing for the underneath. Yeah, you still have about 2 minutes left. Not a problem if you can't type out your answer. I understand this could be difficult to type out. Not a problem, right? All right. Let's try the top, right? Take our time. I have limited space, but we'll see if we can make it fit. So we handling the top first, right? Do the numbers first. 3 by 2 is 6. That's just 3 by 2. Then 3 by 5, that's 15. Do the letters now for the top. A by X is AX. You gotta put back both letters involved. And A by M is AM. All right? Right. Signs now. Okay? A negative by a negative. 2 negatives make a positive. And a negative and a positive is a negative. We okay so far? All right. Check your numbers. Right? Remember the order of the letters doesn't matter, right? If you have AX or XA, it doesn't really matter. But most teachers go want it in alphabetical order, right? A comes before X in the alphabet, right? So I just put everything in alphabetical order. Great. Underneath time, right? Put your divide sign here. 4 by 1 is 4. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. In this one, it have some letters, right? So the 4 by the 1 have no letters, but the 4 by the 2y have the letter Y. So underneath, make sure you have that letter Y, okay? A positive by a positive is a positive. And a positive by a positive is a positive. Okay? Can the signs here be simplified? I think we could simplify it here a little bit, right? I will simplify it on this same line, but for those who need to take down up to here, take down up to here, and I will simplify it. So a positive divide by a positive. If you go back to your rules, when you divide a positive by a positive, you'll get one sign. And here's a negative and a positive. When you divide a negative and a positive, you get what? A negative. Right? So let's take a few seconds and I'll put down the final answer. Right? When you're multiplying the negative by the positive, a negative by positive is a negative. Right. So someone asked me, which school do I teach in? I don't teach in any school. I'm a private teacher. All right. I don't teach in any public schools. All right, let me simplify now. Let's simplify. A positive divide by a positive. If you look at your rules, two positives give you back a positive. And you can put it positive in the middle. And a negative divide by a positive. Remember, this negative belongs to the 15 and the positive belongs to the 8. When you divide a negative and a positive, you get what? A negative divided by a positive is a negative, right? So when you combine those two, you get a negative. There's no way you could simplify this. There are too many differences in the letters. The first one has AX, the other one has AM and Y. There's no way we could squish that together, right? So that's my final answer. Take down the final answer after we combine the signs. Right. And remember, for those who missed last week, right? I know you're going to be a little lost today, but if you stay back after class, right? We still have about 20 minutes of class left. I could show you all where to get the work you missed. So you come back strong for next week, right? It will take a lot of work, but it is possible to get back on board, right? We are not done. We have about 20 minutes of class, right? Right. You all ready to move on to the next slide there? Almost done. Let's see if we could, all right. So good point. Someone asked if the 6 and 4 could be reduced. And 6 and 4 could be reduced, right? Sorry, yeah, I think they're right. I think they're right. Somebody right here. It is possible to reduce this. 6 divided by 4, right? Now, 2 could go into 6, like in primary school now. If you have 6 divided by 4, this could be 2 into 6 is 3, and 2 into 4 is 2. So it's 3 on what? 2. So I think we should reduce the 6 and 4 for this to 3 on 2. Sorry, I really didn't see that. I was so focused on moving on to the next slide. So do you have to reduce it once it's possible? Yes. Teachers are very, very picky about not reducing stuff. If you don't, you're going to lose a mark. Okay? So that is my final answer, the 3 and the 2. Let's move on. Ah, yes, a brain relaxer. So Terry the tiger is gone. Farina the fish is gone. What are your bets, guys? Who's next? Who do you think will meet their end? Freddie, Tony, Laura, Alan, Paul, or Sally? A lot of people have it out for Alan the alligator. I don't know. That Tony looks like he's going to meet his end. That Laura looks too happy. Let's see who's next. We're sorry to, oh, it's Laura. Yes, we're sorry to announce the death of Laura the ladybug. Laura ventured out too close to a camping site when one of the campers accidentally stepped on her. Adios, Laura. See you in the afterlife. All right. Bye, Laura. All right. I hope some of y'all are still in the game. All right. So here we have some division questions. Just now we did some multiplication. with fractions, I want everyone to take down the green question, right? Just take a 10 seconds, take down only the green question, and I will work it out for you. All right. So this question is one of the most popular situations you're going to run into in maths, where you have two items on top. You see, you have 4x and 20, and you have one big divide sign, and you have one item on top. A lot of people, they think that only the first item gets divided by the two. So you're seeing a 4x here, and you're seeing a 2 underneath, a -2 underneath. A lot of people think only the first item gets divided by the value underneath, or they think they just have to choose one of the items on top to get divided by the underneath. This is not true. Everybody on top. If you have 1,000,000 items on top, today we only have 2, but if you had 1,000,000 items on top, everybody on top gets divided by the item underneath. So let's put in our missing signs first and then rewrite this question properly. This 4x is missing a positive sign, so put it positive there. I want you all to rewrite the question like this. You see this positive 4x and this -20, separate them. And everybody individually gets divided by who? -2. You see how I duplicated the underneath value? Everybody on top, listen to what I said, right? Everybody on top gets divided by the item underneath. So you write it back individually. So it's no longer one big divide sign. Everybody gets their own personal divide sign to show that, hey, we're getting divided by that -2. All you have to do now is work out this part using these rules, put your answer here. Then work out this part now and put your answer here. Think you all can finish it up for me? Divide both parts individually and, well, write down each part individually. Each answer for each part individually. Right? Send the answer on the chat. I just want to see what you come up with. Right? And when you're writing the answers, you don't put a comma in between. It's one sentence. It's just one complete sentence. There's no comma or anything or full stops in between the two answers. All right. So let's start off with the numbers for the first one. 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? 4 divided by 2. Go to the letters. The letter X was involved and he was on top. So let's put back the X there. And when you divide a positive by a negative, positive by a negative will give you a negative. Let's do this guy here. 20 divided by 2 is 10. It have no letters and signs. When you divide 2 minus, you get what? Ta-da! That's it. And we know we cannot squish those two together because one has an X and the other doesn't. You see how I write everything in one straight line, a sentence? You can think of it as a mathematical sentence, right? There's no commas, there's no nothing, and I didn't even forget the signs. I got 10. I make sure I'm writing the 10. Okay? You think you have for 1 million fake dollars, right? Get out the yellow question and send the answer. Right? So, and you see how I split it up into two parts? Do the same thing, right? Fifteen more seconds and we work it out. All right, let's get started. All right. Right. Remember, multiplication and division doesn't care if the letters are different. I think, once again, some people are mixing up addition and subtraction. In addition and subtraction, if the letters are different, the question shuts down. Look at the rules that I gave you for multiplication and division. Look at the rules I gave you here. Nowhere in these rules it ever said that the letters must be the same. In multiplication and division, if the letters are different, it's still possible to go ahead and try to do the question. It doesn't shut down. But once again, keep your mind separated from addition and subtraction from multiplication and division. So let's separate these questions here. Both items get divided by minus 5y. So you have minus 5x. You have the minus 18ab here. You divide each of them individually by the item underneath. Both of them get divided by minus 5y, right? Both of them. Let's start off with the numbers. When you divide 5 and 5, you're going to get what? 1, right? I think somebody was asking me if 5 divided by 5 is 1. Yes, right? So you put your 1. To the letters. There are 2 letters involved, X and Y. How much of you all wrote the X and Y like that? How much of you all fell for that trick? That's wrong, and remember I told you the X belongs on top, but that Y was born underneath. So he has to go underneath, right? Remember that story from a few slides back? If the letter is underneath, it has to be underneath at the end of the question, unless something really, really drastic happens. Nothing drastic is happening here. Let's do the signs. When you divide 2 minus, that someone asked this question on a previous question. When you divide 2 minus signs, the rules are very clear. When you divide 2 minus, you get a positive. How much people had up to there for the first one? Positive 1x on y, right? Look at it properly. Look at it. That's as slow as I could do that question, well, at the moment, right? Don't worry, if you don't catch it on the first run, right? Remember, you can watch the recording of the class, right? And sometimes you wake up and you're a little groggy like this morning, and you need to be a little fresher to grasp everything. So you watch it a second time, okay? Let's do the next piece. Now, we do the numbers first, right? Now, 18 cannot be divided by 5, so you leave it as 18 divided by 5, okay? And remember, you're not using your calculators, so leave it as 18 divided by 5. I know some of you might put a mixed fraction, but I hate mixed fractions. Those are the worst things in maths. Next is the letters. The letters involved are A, B, and Y. The A, B were born on top. The Y was born underneath. So you just put back the letters in the same exact configuration. Last is the signs. The top is minus, the underneath is minus. Divide 2 minus, you get a positive, and that's the end of the question. Right? You can't simplify that either, because look at the letter types. Both items have completely different letters. Right? Don't worry, if you didn't get, I know it's coming close to the end of class, your brain's shutting down, I know that. Don't worry, have the recording of class. If you don't understand, you have to invest some time to watch back the video, right? Watch it back, and you'll be fine. I was the same way in school. I can never catch things on the first run. My method of revising is to read something once, come back 10 minutes later, read it twice, and then on the third run, that's when I catch things. And that's how I study up to now. I have to read things 3 times to do something 3 times to catch it. Right? Right. Right. Oh, by the way, the adult, I want I want 2 sets of people to stay back, right? The adults and for the people who missed last week and who don't know where to get the work they missed, right? So let's see what the next slide is about, and let's see how far we reach in the game, right? So next week we're going to be mixing all together: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division in one question, right? So for those who understand how to get the recordings and everything that they missed and everything, right? You're free to leave. For the adults, I need to talk to you all. And for the people who missed last week, please stay back. I want to make, and I know we didn't finish the game. Next week we'll finish the game. All right. Don't worry. Next week we'll finish the game and see who survives. I'll leaving you all on a cliffhanger here. Okay, guys. So those who could leave, and adults, and for people who missed last week, please stay back. Right? Please stay back. I want to make sure we come prepared for next week. Right. All right. So for those who missed last week, right? This is the school website here, the I Love Lessons website. It's a very easy website here to follow along. I'm sending the website on the chat here, right? Okay. Well, when you go to that website, right? People on YouTube too, right? When you go to the iLoveLessons.com, it's a real simple. It's just this here is the website. You start typing www.ilovelessons.com. Lessons is plural. And when you go to the website, the same thing you're seeing on the screen is you just click on that. When you click on summer classes, you'll get all the recordings you missed for the entire program. So today is what day? Today is Saturday. So when I click on summer classes, scroll down to Saturday. Look at it, it's real easy. Saturday, if you go up a little bit, sorry guys, go up a little bit. Look at there, Saturday, 9 a.m. math class. Last week recording is up. And I will put today's recording by tomorrow. So you can more than, access it, right? It's real easy to use. I made it as easy as possible. No passwords. So once again, you're clicking on the summer classes 2024, right? Also, the adults, right? I know you all has come the Saturday class, right? So this is the class you all normally come, right? The Saturday maths class. You all are invited to come the Monday maths class as well. But if you cannot come the Monday class, review the recordings of the Monday class as well, the adults. Because when September starts, remember the adults, you've been out of school for a while. So when I need you to review the Monday classes as well, you need to put in twice the amount of work as everyone else. So the Saturday class and the Monday class, review the recordings, right? So when September starts, you're on the same level as the rest of the students who are in school. Like I said, you've been out of school for a while and you need to put in twice the amount of work. Right? The adults are okay with that, right? 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 So what the adults, because remember, when school starts back, the adults are going to be in the Form 4 and Form 5 class because you all have to finish the syllabus in 1 year, just like everyone else. So I want you to hit the ground running and I don't want you to feel out of place, right? So invest the time, right? And review it, watch it over and over and over. Okay? Right, guys. So thank you for coming to class today. Class was mostly okay, except for it had one or two trolls in class, but eventually got rid of them. But I think class was pretty fun today, and I had a good time. So I hope you all did too. Right? Thanks. Well, someone whose name is somebody, I literally I don't know your real name, so I'll just call you Mr. or Mrs. somebody. All right, so guys, feel free to leave, and I believe Miss Michelle has English just now at 11:30. Be on time, right? I don't know what topic she's doing, right? Oh, all right, Jamai. Well, I know your name now. All right, guys, take care. Right, I'm gonna give up the computer for Miss now. Take care. Have a good day, and revise as much as possible. All right, people on YouTube. Bye. Have a good one. Yeah, get ready. In all the classes, use the same Zoom link. All right, all the classes. All right, and it starts at 11:30. Right. All right, guys, I'm ready going for show now. Right.